Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, taking a super fun and super exciting episode for you guys today because we are taking another look at the Dinosaur Planet Static Recomp from the N64 prototype game that never released. And if you aren't aware, Dinosaur Planet was a game by Rare that ended up becoming Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube. And because that never really felt like a Star Fox game, a lot of people were very curious as to where it came from, and many years ago, people basically figured out that Dinosaur Planet became Star Fox Adventures. Earlier this year, a static recomp came out for Dinosaur Planet, and now as of about 36 hours ago, it has been updated on GitHub with a new build bringing in a lot of new features, new performance improvements, and just an overall better experience. Now just go into this being aware that the Dinosaur Planet prototype is not a finished game. It is definitely a beta, it's still going to have some bugs, and even though there are some patches you can apply to the game that I'll show you later in the video, just don't think this is a retail release and you won't be disappointed. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, all of these different decomp videos have been doing super well, and that's why we have the playlist Big Decomp Energy, because in 2025, people have been really getting into all of the different decompilation projects, all of the static recomps, and all of the PC ports, specifically on the Nintendo 64 decomp side of things. We've had so many fun experiences here, but honestly, Dinosaur Planet might be my favorite just because it is a decompilation and static recomp of a game that never truly existed. And even you'll see Fox McCloud here and even call himself that by name. It's one of those things. This game is basically an amalgam of what Dinosaur Planet was going to be versus Star Fox Adventure on the GameCube. And I would say this is definitely the better game in my opinion than what we actually got on GameCube, because Nintendo basically made Rare force the Star Fox franchise into a game where it didn't really make that contextual much of sense. But honestly, this recomp, the last time I played it, I said it was fun, it was good, it was pretty limited in its feature set, and definitely was a bit buggy. Now with the most recent version of this, it is fundamentally that much better. You're going to be able to get a stable 60 frames per second without using interpolation, and even though the patch notes say that sometimes you need to turn the frame rate down to get past certain areas, I didn't really encounter anything, at least in my captures, that caused me any issues whatsoever with that new frame rate. And honestly, seeing an N64 game as a recomp running at a true 60 frames per second and not using interpolation, absolutely awesome. And if you're wondering why some of the different recomps and PC ports do use interpolation of frames and they don't just up the native frame rate, that is because some games on N64 will tie the actual game logic to the refresh rate. So if you actually have more frames per second, something in the game is going to break basically the game's logic, and you'll either have bugs or not be able to progress certain scenes just because of the fact that the game doesn't know what to do with those extra frames. Where here in Dinosaur Planet, for the most part, it seems to be working totally fine. Now, I have not finished this game on the most recent version, so it is possible 10-15 minutes, a couple hours after I stop capturing, that you're going to encounter a bug where you just have to dial down the frame rate back to its native frame rate and then go from there. The good thing is, in the options menu, you have the ability to change that basically within seconds, so it really isn't anything that's going to affect you all that much. And I will say here, the graphics in Dinosaur Planet on this recomp look absolutely stunning and so much better than if you played this on real N64 hardware, the Mr. FPGA core, or the Analog 3D. And honestly, who wouldn't want more fun N64 stuff in 2025? And that really is the thing about all of these different decompilation projects, the static recomps and the PC ports. They take a game and just make it that much better for everyone and make it that much more readily available. Because if you download this from GitHub and give it the game files, it's going to automatically recompile it and run as a native Windows application with support for basically every controller out there and full rebinds. But just going through with this, whatever it's going to be called, speeder bike section, jet ski with basically a turbine on the back, whatever you want to call it, the fluidity in the motion and the overall screen cadence here and getting 60 frames per second just make this feel like a completely different experience. Now do be aware that you want to patch the game to have some of the improvements come in, and support for that is also in the recomp now. It isn't finalized, but it's getting very close. Let's move over to the first soundtrack sample because the music in the recomp is a 10 out of 10 again, audio quality wise, and I'll be right back. Definitely some Crash Bandicoot vibes in there, but you leave me a comment down below and you tell me what you think. Now, if you do want to check this out, I will leave a link in the description below to the GitHub page. You'll be able to find everything under the Releases tab. And you will see here 2 days ago, as of me recording this video, it has been updated to version 0.2.0. And I captured this the same time I basically was doing the video for Star Fox 64 ported to Dreamcast, and I just decided to move this to Monday, so by this point in time, it's more like 72 hours old. And you'll see here there is a ton of new features, as well as a lot of bug fixes, because last time I talked about this, I did say it could be buggy, it could be crashy and freezy, and your mileage definitely may vary. And you'll see here Dynamod Enhanced Recompiled. This is a lot of the patching for Dinosaur Planet, and it's not going to be compatible with the recompiled version of the game as well, and that link will also be in the download for the actual executable, so that's definitely something I recommend picking up. It might give you a better experience. But again, I can't stress enough, don't go into this expecting perfection, because the Dinosaur Planet files in and of themselves are an incomplete game. So you really do need to remember that it's one of those things. This was not finished, this was not released at retail. It was a game in development that was basically pivoted over to the GameCube and given the Star Fox franchise for its overall wrapping versus being the actual Dinosaur Planet game. So as long as you don't expect perfection, you can't be disappointed whatsoever. But I am honestly blown away by just how much better this new version of the Recomp is. It is just so easy to play, and I will say that they absolutely transposed the analog controls and all the rest of the controls over to something like an Xbox Series X gamepad. A lot of times I use an N64 style controller, something like the 8-bit DOE or the Brawler 64, just so I have that button layout. But honestly, in a game like Dinosaur Planet, I actually prefer the Xbox Series X controller because I just find it more comfortable, and it really does work. You can definitely take this thing to widescreen 16:9 as well, but I actually kind of prefer it in the 4:3 aspect ratio. This kind of has the vibes I enjoy. But really the major takeaway of this update, other than the stability, is the ability to run this game in 60 frames per second. It just looks and feels that much better. Because like I say in basically every single N64 Recomp, PC port, or other video, the one thing the N64 definitely struggles with, and that'll definitely keep some people from wanting to play the games these days, is the fact that sometimes the frame rate can be an absolute slideshow. That is something you're not going to have to worry about here in the Recomp. It is going to hold the 60 frames per second the entirety of the time. I never saw really any sort of frame dips that were concerning to me, but again, this is not a finished version, it is only 0.2, so there is a long way to go to make this thing even better. But as it stands now, and I did check with some people that checked it out, you can play this game from start to finish, or whatever finish may be in the game, because again, not complete, and you can just sit down and enjoy it like it was a last N64 game that you're just able to play. And that is always amazing, because honestly the N64 library compared to PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn isn't the biggest thing in the world, so having more games to play, especially in either Recomp or PC port status, just give you that much more fun when it comes to N64. And that kind of is the takeaway from 2025, because this video is obviously going out in December, the end of the year. Nintendo 64 has had a huge year. We've gotten a bunch of decomps, a bunch of recomps and PC ports. We have Analog 3D out, and we have the Mod Retro M64 in active development. So it is a big Nintendo year outside of Switch too. But one more soundtrack sample, 45 seconds to listen to the quality, and I'll be right back with more.
Start the propeller. Now!
I just love how cartoony the audio is here, and basically it feels like a slapstick Saturday morning cartoon. But if you want to play the most recent update to the Dinosaur Planet Recomp, the link is in the description below, and trust me, it is incredibly easy to set up, so you don't really need much of a tutorial there. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what's been your favorite Recomp or PC port of 2025, because unless something changes, I don't think we're going to see any more releases until 2026, but I hope to be proven wrong, because there's definitely some games out there that are being worked on, GoldenEye being one of them, that I know absolutely everyone wants to play, but I'm assuming the GoldenEye PC port or GoldenEye Static Recomp is going to be done in 2026. But short of that, Dinosaur Planet is a 10 out of 10 in Recomp status. If you want to check it out, I can't recommend it enough, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.